What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CaliCast. I'm Urijah Faber, the California kid. We're spitting some knowledge, telling stories, and having a good time. All right, we're here with Cody, CaliCast, and we're not going to play any chess today.
No chess today.
That's going to be a secret. We'll play after, possibly. For those that don't know, Cody was actually sandbagging. Now, is it true or false? You were on the chess team?
Unwillingly.
Unwillingly, meaning?
Unwillingly invited. Like 5th or 6th grade, I can't remember. I think I got so much trouble that I wasn't allowed to go into recess, so we had to do like in-school detention, for recess. So Mr. Garbrandt, which was our computer teacher.
No relation?
Yeah, he was a distant uncle or cousin. I don't know. Something like that. We have a huge family. So yeah, he basically taught me how to play chess, and it was a good time.
And I learned that the hard way. I was like asking Cody if he ever played chess. He's like, oh yeah, he's like the definition of sandbagging. He's like, yeah, I'll play. Well, I can play. I said, you know how to play? Like, maybe show me some, whatever. Next thing you know, it's like in a heated battle back and forth, and I'm like, bro, you're new to chess. He's like, well, I actually was on the chess team and 2000. Stayed home from recess and joined the chess team.
Slight edge to man. I needed it. It's been a while. It was years since I've played, but that's good to get the competitive nature flowing. And
we'll get another one. I can't remember
chess game.
I can't remember who won.
Almost came to blows. He was threatening. He's like, "Oh, let's do a 50-minute grind match." He's threatening that. So we, in recess we levied pizza logs. That's what we did. Like chess games, you're like, "Oh, you gotta give me a pizza log." That was like one of our favorite lunch on the menu. On the menu at lunch was the pizza log. So we always had pizza logs.
So you're betting
on Friday? Yeah, we were betting pizza logs.
Always hustling, man.
Yep, hustling.
Always. We're gonna talk about that a little bit because you got a bunch of good hustles going. How's camp been? I mean, I've been here for it, and the way I feel, I think you've been looking amazing, man. I mean, it's been like the right mesh of the rest, the hard goes, doing right side outside the office here, getting in like the real hard goes, which for a 25-round fight has to go. But how do you feel?
I feel great, honestly. I think that coaches, teammates, on a physical, push, we've left no stones unturned. Mentally, I feel great, amazing. I've been excited to get inside the octagon since I stepped out of it last June. With things that I was plagued with, I was actually injury free after this fight. Camp, everything was great. I mean,
knockout of the year, was that what
they gave it to? That Barkley kid.
Well, we'll say we got the knockout of the year. Let's just leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. Yeah, I won that.
Oh yeah, got that.
Got that one.
But you came out injury free on that one, which is rare.
Yeah, camp was great. Even leading up to that with the whole pandemic, we was able to.
Yeah, we snuck in here.
Urijah came in a couple of times in a biohazard suit. Biohazard suit and flip flops.
On my behalf, I had a bun in the oven. Yeah. And the world was watching. We actually would do sparring, and then we did 6 feet apart for the picture, which is fun. We'll put that up.
Yeah, that was awesome. That's a good to look back on.
That's a weird ass time, dude.
Yeah,
weird ass time. It was like
got it done though. Dana said that he was gonna have fights, and he made it happen to this whole pandemic, and we were able to advance and make some money, for our families and move our careers forward during this pandemic, So
dude, Dana's a hero on that front.
Oh, for sure.
And it's funny because I've gone in to talk to him. I don't know if he's had COVID, and I don't think he'd even say if he did, just because he's kind of over it. But that guy hasn't worn a mask once during this whole time. He's like, I refuse to wear a mask. I'm not wearing a mask. I'm like, all good. I mean, it's a weird state of the world where like my daughter goes around and she's just used to seeing people with their friggin' masks on. And for us, it's like
we got kicked out the Southwest flag because he didn't want to wear a flag. He told the guy,
"No, that's right."
So I don't want to wear a mask. He says, "I don't want to wear a mask." He's like, "No."
I can't believe they kicked you guys off that.
Dude, that guy was just one of those guys you give a little bit of power to, or thinks that he has power to, like, oh, you need to wear your mask.
Oh yeah, he's like a bouncer.
If like it slips down, he's like, oh, I'm gonna write you up. You know what I mean? Like shit like that, like a bounce like that. And I already knew we were gonna have problems with him. Just he was doing the flight, information like about the mask and the briefing before you fly out, and he was just saying some things that no one respects him. I'm like, man. I'm like, what the
Was
hell?
saying that no one respects him?
Yeah, he's like, I've been doing
Oh,
this for 17
jeez.
years. And no one respects me. I know no one listens
Oh,
to me.
jeez.
And the girl was beside me. Was like, yeah, I was just ignoring you because I didn't want to hold the mask. I'm like, I had my hands. My Kai was laying on my lap drinking a sippy cup, like about to fall. It was like 7:15 in the morning. We got up like 4 in the morning to go to the airport. So he's already tired. And I was just like trying not to make eye contact with the guy because I'm like, I know, I could just tell.
He's
you know,
like,
someone's
no one
energy-
respects me. He's eyeballing, looking for somebody to
Yeah,
disrespect
looking
him.
for someone just to step out of line. I'm like, oh, I have to be.
I hope you put the fear of God in that guy.
My 2-year-old. Yeah, I heard he's still in the bathroom hiding. He jumped in the commode. I heard.
I saw a video. I'm like, what? And honestly, Southwest to me has been like one of the coolest, like
Yeah.
most lenient airlines. When I saw that, I was like, bro, that dude was minutes away. Because first off, you're already a bad dude, and you're a nice guy, but you're the
Yeah.
person you don't want to cross. And then you involve a child,
Yeah.
and then you involve, taking something away from him. I'm like, bro, Cody may take this dude's freaking head off.
I was.
And then the guy was hiding in the bathroom.
Luckily,
He's still
luckily
there.
he jumped in the bathroom because I saw him at the end of the plane. I was like, oh, because he was high and he went and got another girl to come tell us that we had to get off the plane. And I was like, all right. And then I was like, get my shit. I was like, Zach was with me, my brother. I'm like, all right, he had Kai. I'm like, I'm looking for this motherfucker. He's getting slapped up. You know? I was like, and I was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't. Like, but it was probably just crisis averted that he jumped in the bathroom and jumped in the toilet.
That's
and had
so
shit all
awesome.
over him.
What a story for the ages. Unfortunately, you didn't get to go back and celebrate Kai's birthday with his family, but
Yeah,
got a good story out of it.
Unfortunate, but
Yeah.
hey, hopefully he'll have a lot of birthdays in the future.
Kai did, however, come in and watch the last day of sparring. It was fun to watch.
That was cool.
I mean,
Surprise, yeah.
Yeah, he was in that. He came in halfway through sparring, and Cody's getting fresh guys on him. Every 2 rounds, sometimes every other round with fresh guys, 3 to 4 guys.
About
These
100
young
degrees in
guys, with
Shit,
hard
yeah.
ons to fucking show who they're the man against the
Yeah.
champ.
Yeah.
And dude, that's the only way to push. And we've gone back and forth. And I mean, I always use you for an example, along with guys like Song and Darren Elkins and Holdsworth was like this. You got to get that hard sparring in. It's like one of the necessary evils. We protect ourselves and whatnot. Has there been some times where you've looked back and been like, okay, you know what? I could have done more hard sparring or less hard sparring, because there's always the head trauma stuff. There's the body issues, and you've had scenarios where it's pulled you out of fights, you put you on the sideline and missed big opportunities, big paydays, that kind of stuff. Where do you find the line of self-care and hard goes?
I think that's something that you have to internalize with yourself, daily. You're in camp for 8 to 10 weeks, sometimes 12 weeks. We're cutting that back. For me, if you stay in shape year round, I feel like you're able to take 1 or 2 days off during the week. If you're going 3 days hard, 1 day off, just messing with it, more. It's still, like we're in here every day fighting. It's not like we're doing, we're constantly just,
it's a war zone.
It's a war zone. You're getting ready for, like, how do you get better at, swimming? You swim.
Yeah.
How do you get better at running? You run. How do you get better at fighting? You fight. And like, you have to put yourself, like we always speak about, you have to put yourself in those fighting scenarios or those situations where, like, all right, we might be down 2 rounds. It's going in the 3rd and 4th round. We have to pick it up here to where you're in that uncomfortable stage, but you have to find a will inside of yourself to win and push yourself past fatigue.
Yeah.
I think that anything that goes past 3, you're in the 4th and 5th round. I think that's all will.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that we spoke about during this camp and previous camps is when you're rotating in on partners, you might have a fresh guy in each round. You don't have that mental battle with them. Like as your adversary inside the octagon, you have that mental battle of, okay, we both have skills, but whose will is going to push through the 3rd, 4th, 5th round to get this win? Those guys are like, well, I got 1 round with Cody, I'm good. And I have 4 more rounds with another guy that's going to come in. So that's that will battle, mentally pushing yourself, staying on your P's and Q's, and wanting to edge out the win or get the submission or throw a couple more strikes to win that round. You want to win that round each time. So I think, going back on your question of willing to push and give, I think that's something that you have to just address each day or each week, how you're feeling, like, all right, with your coaches. And your coaches are there for you to be like, all right, hey, you know what, this is camp, we're going to have these bumps and bruises. There's a difference between injury and being hurt.
Exactly.
And I think that is a common misconception with a lot of young fighters. say, man, it's a grind. It's gonna
The
be
millennials, my man.
yeah. I mean,
beyond millennials, what are the new kids called?
Gen Z or
Gen
X.
Z
yeah.
or Gen X or something
Gen
like
X.
that. Yeah, Gen X.
Fucking Gen X,
bro.
Wow.
Gen X.
They were trying to cancel Eminem. I said, "Fuck Gen X." And you know how long Eminem's been trying to get canceled, man? You can't cancel him.
No, but like you said, that's why you have outside people to remind you little things that you may not think about. Like when those sparring rounds, and dude, as a wrestler, and I want to get into that too. You and your brother, state champion, high level wrestlers, being around boxing and idolizing boxers growing up, you see about like the best fights, the most entertaining fights are when the going gets tough and it's, guys have been rocked and come back and do that. And then as a football athlete, the mental side of things. But when you're you're stacking the cards against yourself in sparring, and we don't do that all the time. Sometimes it's good to be the hammer, sometimes it's good to be the nail. But you need to be reminded that battle's not there, like you said. You're not having to, deal with them second guessing themselves and getting fatigue and feeling the blow of the first 2 rounds, etc., which is a good thing to do when you're peaking, as long as you remember, like, I'm doing this just to push myself and get the best. And not many people can do that. You have to be a high level guy like you or a Song or a Feely or a Josh Emmett, the guys in a room that they can take on, the young hungry guys they're gonna push you like that. So I've loved to see that. I feel like there's been a couple scenarios, one time feeling like you're got some wind taken out of you and
oh yeah,
taking a moment to dig deep and do a blast double, like that kind of stuff for me is like a reminder of like, Cody's more than prepared and gonna shine in a time where it's like the odds are just moved into your favor when it comes to betting. But really, from a guy that knows you, I feel like you are a big favorite in this one.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm the underdog in this fight. I think I saw on some betting odds, which is great.
Right, which is crazy. Yeah. You want to make some money?
Yeah, I love it.
Look at this beard, shiny beard over here, man.
War beard, it's here. When I come in with a war beard, you're ready for a great performance for sure. But yeah, definitely putting yourself in those uncomfortable positions. It's not comfortable being inside the octagon. You have the nerves and just whatever you're.
It's a weird time.
It's a weird time to go inside an octagon. You want to call it an octagon, a steel cage that's coated in rubber. You know what I mean? Like, to dumb it down in the nicest way. That's just it's still a steel cage. You just put rubber on it. It's like, all right, it's still a steel cage. But to go in there and fight another man that believes that he's the best, that probably sacrificed a lot to be here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not taking Rob Font lightly at all. Like, this is his first,
oh yeah,
high prolific fight. His first main event. He's off two huge or 3 wins. But were
you able to spar with him when he came out here and trained with us?
I wasn't out here then. Yeah.
Yeah, I cannot believe how time has flown like that.
I've been out here since 8 years.
8 years, and he came before that. Yeah, he definitely was in the UFC back time. It was Delagrati Karate, his coach at the time, had been like, I got this kid, he's going to come out. And I remember going with him. It's so weird for me. And Tuss, you've been out here since about the same time as Cody now from Australia. And I'm like, oh, did you remember so-and-so? You're like, oh, that was before me. I'm like, man, I'm getting friggin'. Hey. I won't say, I'm not going to say that.
Buddy. Hey,
I forgot about that.
It's a great time for you. You know what I mean? Like, with the Jake Paul saga and, the Paul brothers wanting to fight old retired dudes. You fit right in that category, man.
Bro,
Get
absolutely.
That money.
I will not call myself old, but I will get in there and mix that with anybody. I actually like I saw you had a little beef with these guys. I actually I don't know Jake. I like Logan. I feel like Logan is a little more mild-mannered.
Yeah.
All right, he's done some dumb stuff, but he comes from a place in Ohio, same as Lance Palmer and Wayne the Pain. He's grown up.
The hardcore shore Westlake.
Yeah. So, but I feel like those guys, they've got some good attributes. But what is your take on that whole thing? I mean, first off, those dudes are getting paid, which is kind of like kicks you in the gut. You're like, dude, you've been a warrior since you're 4 years old, 5 years old, wrestling, learning boxing from your pops, playing football, then make a whole life sacrifice, move from here to there, the injuries, the this and that. And these guys are coming up and swiping up cash. I feel like Nate Diaz and the Conor McGregor sometimes like, you're taking everything I work for.
Yeah.
You know?
For me, I think it's just a joke and it's embarrassment to the sport.
You think so? I mean, you know boxing.
I think so. I mean, for boxing, I'm like, your biggest stars are YouTubers that are. Logan is 0-2.
Yeah.
And Jake is 2-0 against a NBA basketball player. It looked like he's never been in a street fight in his life. Like Nate.
Well, I know that.
Looked like he never fought anybody. Like never. I'm like, and then you have Ben Askren who didn't give a fuck to go in there and fight. You know what I mean?
So I want to be devil advocate on this because I was stuck at the UFC prison yard quarantine to go corner someone. So I was like, literally
2-hour breakdown.
Yeah, 2-hour breakdown. This guy loves talking shit, man.
Just out there.
Man, biggest critic, this
I'm
guy.
quarantined for 8 hours. I'd rather do a 2-hour podcast. Get some sun, man.
But literally, but I went deep in the woods and like did research and everything. And I was like, bro, I was stuck there. You know what I mean? You're stuck there 4 days. You can't leave the fucking campus. And, but honestly, dude, I like the mentality. And I know you have leadership throughout your life that's like giving you the umph and made you like one of the people that believes they can do anything. And I know we talked about your mom. Your mom is like hard, but she's like as supportive as it gets. Make sure your clothes are set in the morning. Make sure you have the best of everything. Make sure, you know, hard love, you step out of line, she's going to smack you back in line. And probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the reasons why you have so much success is like a figure like that.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And
someone that's pushing you.
Like that. And just, I mean, her world was you guys. Yep. Probably not perfect, but it got the job that it made a champion in this world. So I feel like the Paul brothers, they've had a lot of success in a bunch of different places. And I got to go on Logan's podcast and get to know him a little bit more. I met him way back in the day in LA. And then when this was happening, I was stuck in the prison yard, UFC prison yard in Vegas hotel. I watched a podcast with him and his dad because he had told me some things about his dad. He's like, bro, you know, he had stepped out of line on the Japanese thing. And he's like, but you got to understand where I come from and blah, blah. And I watched his dad, and his dad, I was surprised that like his dad put everything aside to focus on his kids and was like kind of a hard-nosed dude that made these guys believe they can do anything and taught them work ethic and everything else. And Jake Paul is actually 23, almost 24, about that age. And that's what age I was when I started learning MMA. And so I'm like, you know what? A guy that has some natural gifts, he's got all the resources now because he's made some money. He believes he's a fighter. He even was talking about CTE, like, oh, I've got CTE or whatever. He's, you know, that's a bit of a embellishment, I'm sure. But the dude seems to love boxing. He sucked 2.5 years ago because I watched some of his stuff, and he actually looks like he's pretty good now. So I don't want to knock a guy that is like the age I was when I started to fight, and he seems to be taking it serious. And Ben Askren, I think Ben Askren wasn't going in there to – I think he was in to give his best shot. It's just he was so piss poor at boxing. It was kind of too late after hip surgery and everything else.
You picked the worst guy.
Well, he did that by design. The Paul brothers are doing this by design. Of course,
you know, it's smart on them. Good for them.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know, this is as real as it gets.
Exactly.
As real as it gets. This isn't YouTube and fake setup shit that, you know, these, you know, YouTubers do. Like, it's like CTE and you're going to run into some real killers. You're calling out some real killers and fucking with some real killers. You saw how pissed they had Floyd?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That
like,
was comedy, but it's crazy.
You can say, people say whatever else. Like, Floyd comes from fucking the gutter, dude. Like,
exactly.
The gutter. And like, he's like, he thinks he's going to let these rich kids that came famous from YouTube to get rich come in. Like, he sees money, bro. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, green, blue. He sees money. He's gonna get money off you. He's gonna whoop your ass. Then you're gonna entice him with shit and do that shit to him.
Bro,
take his hat from him.
I was dying because
whoever does that shit to Floyd, dude, like, you know, that's you get fucked up.
I gotta tell you, they are. But at the same time, those dudes. I mean, we're talking about them. Everyone else is talking about them, and they got some. You saw Conor. Conor spent a whole tour, and it was more business. Conor's got a little more tact than both those guys, but he was rubbing the top of his head, etc. Like, Jake got under Floyd's skin in 30 seconds more than anyone has ever. Floyd he got like a deep voice and was screaming, "You motherfucker, I'm gonna fuck you up." Blah, blah. They had to like hold him back, and it was friggin' comedy. And now
I think the reason why is because
You've
Well,
so
I don't respect
disrespected.
those dudes.
Yeah,
Like, bro, you've never,
exactly.
you didn't sacrifice, you didn't grind. Like, you see Floyd put in the work as a kid all the way up to where he's at now, and he respected Conor because where Conor came from, and he's fought, what he's done in the sport. This dude hasn't done shit in the sport. You know what I mean? So I can see why.
Yeah, he was for. Yeah, the hood came out of him.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a couple $100 million hood dude who was like, bro. And now he's, how old is he? 43, 44, something like that. Floyd.
I think so. Yeah.
But I mean, he still looks sharp as hell.
Yeah, I mean, there's just, I mean, when you have that.
That was funny, man.
Since a kid, you're just, I mean, you're.
My prediction with that whole scenario is, first and foremost, you know, people go through ebbs and flows of what they want to do with their life. Right now, I feel like Jake, he tried to be, you know, he had success in a bunch of different realms, and he got more hate than anyone. Fault of his own, a lot of it.
Right.
But at this way, you can't take away that you're a fighter. You know, I think he sees that, and he's going to run in that direction until it gets tough. If what needs to happen, I mean, Floyd is literally 30, 40 pounds smaller than these guys. And what's going to happen eventually is these guys are going to be faced with, like you said, some real fighters, like an Usman or even a boxer that's like a higher tier boxer and get in some trouble. But these guys know what they're doing. So I predict, since Logan has a wrestling background, he was an Ohio State placer.
Okay.
Yeah. Logan was a Ohio State placer. He placed sixth. I told him sixth. He said fifth. I think fifth. Anyways, so that says a little bit. But I think he's going to get his ass kicked by Floyd as expected, and Floyd's going to make it nasty, and then he's going to go into MMA or just go back into entertainment stuff.
Yeah, come to MMA. That's...
Yeah. But you ever see, he got knocked out cold by, what's a Brazilian cat that
was that real?
It was real.
Acosta?
He got knocked out cold by Acosta, but he actually had a good scrambling match with Acosta. So look, I don't doubt anybody that believes in themselves, etc. But you got to put in the work, and if they're willing to do it, I think they could be okay. But they haven't done it thus far for a long period of time.
This whole team are, you know, they're cheerleaders, bro. They wear pom poms for him. His coach is a fucking dork. Yeah, I would love. They invited me. His actually coach, a bald headed BJ Flores, looks like the guy after what's the Incredibles? It's not the Incredibles. It's the Avengers.
The Avengers.
Rocks. That's what he looks like.
They invited you out to box?
It's like, it's simple. He's just talking shit on Instagram. I'm like, bro, I don't want to fight. Like, whoop your ass, bro. Like, let's come to the cage. Like, we're not gonna box. We're gonna fight. Like, it's gonna be a legit fight. Like, I'm gonna come down there and box you. Like, you want to talk about as being primal and is what it is. Like, MMA is as real as it can get. Like, on the street. If you're talking about street or boxing, like, let's really put it in. Let's get in MMA. You know, let's do some MMA work. If you have wrestling background, it's a no-brainer.
Well, you have a boxing pedigree. Would you have 30-something amateur fights?
30-something. Yeah, I have to look back. My uncle has all my books. He had we had a couple of different books in different regions.
And I remember you telling me some crazy stories about Uncle Bob dragging you to the hood of hoods, boxing amateurs that became pro world champions and getting wins over them. That was after a decorated career as a wrestler. And you talk about putting in your time and being a guy that has done the path to be a successful mixed martial artist. Just to review, because people forget about this stuff. Cody was in one of the toughest states in the wrestling community, was a state champion as a freshman, which is very, very difficult. Took second as a sophomore, bowed out as a junior, senior, and, you know, whether it was lose focus or focus in another place or whatever the deal is, but came back as a senior without having any seasons and placed, what did you place, fifth in the senior nationals? In the senior nationals, which is crazy. I wasn't even invited to senior nationals, by the way.
I had a fight coming up, and I was just training for the fight. I was like, I'll go down and get some wrestling matches, and made all the way out to the semis. And I wrestled 8 matches in 2 days. I was like, I had no coach. I called Zach. He got off work. He was working in the coal mines. Like, hey, I'm wrestling in the finals. The semis. We come down. He drove down to Virginia.
And those who don't know Zach's Cody's Irish twin. They're only 10 months apart, and he got all the food. He's like twice the size of Cody, but you guys used to scrap a lot. I didn't know that your brother was actually a state champion wrestler as well.
Yeah, state champion.
Dude, that dude always impressed me. He's like a soft-spoken dude, got a lot of gifts. He's accomplished a lot. Now he's grinding with Perkins and doing the whole the sign stuff. But he came and just jumped in. You went out of wrestling for 2 years in the senior nationals. That's some of the toughest wrestlers in the nation. And Cody jumped in out of a blank, 2 years of wrestling and went and placed. That's impressive. You went on to maybe go to college. You're getting offers and looks after
I got
that.
a bunch of offers. It's funny. A lot of the bigger colleges were
like Rutgers, Penn State.
Let me joke. Oh, I thought you died, or we heard that. Yeah, it was like
you're like, no, man. I've been following chicks and
like you're hooked on drugs. I'm like, I don't do drugs, man. I don't like sell them, but I don't do them, And I'll just be honest with you. And they're like, oh, cool. And I already knew that I wasn't meeting the clearinghouse of Division I, but they're like, hey, come check out the campus. I'm like, bro, I went on like
all the trips.
I went on probably 8 college visits. Just went down there and lived. I'm like, all right, and it was towards the end of their college, like they were getting ready to out for the summer. So like literally we just went down there and just partied. With them. I'm like, all right,
I did the opposite.
Went to South Carolina. I was like, all right, this is the furthest. Nice weather, good wrestling, full ride. I'll go there. Yeah, I went there and it was cool. Newberry College. Actually, a lot of I think 3 of my teammates from there made it to the UFC. Corey Anderson, one of them. He's in Bellator now. He was like the 4th-string heavyweight.
That's crazy, man.
But he has one of those dudes that had like the hardest work ethic. Like he just wasn't the most talented, fastest, but he was one of those guys that's going to be grinding. He was going to be there at 6 a.m, grinding, working.
That's like a Castillo, Holdsworth, some of these guys that like
look
grind.
at him now. It just I trained with him in New Jersey with Coach Henry and the Jersey crew. He's the same guy. It's like he's not the most gifted and athletic. And Coach Mark was out here last week, and I was like, what really sold me on you, Coach, was hearing about you and the legendary. You taught, Frankie and so many good, great, amazing fighters that came through.
Corey,
Coach, and I was like, man, that should be like your sales pitch. If no one believes you, Corey Anderson, because Corey Anderson. I mean, when I followed him, I was like, wow, he won the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
He's beaten so many top guys, Glover Teixeira. I mean, like he's right in the semifinals right now. He's about to fight Ryan Bader, and he's just peaking. He's like,
you wouldn't have seen it. He came out of. I mean, that's what happens.
He beat John,
Poirier,
the UFC champion.
Yeah.
He beat Jan.
He beat Jan. Poirier is the same kind of guy where like he's always kind of there and constantly improving, and then all of a sudden he's the guy.
Dude, I loved Dustin. I watched Fightville. Yeah, Fightville. I mean, we always used to watch. My buddy Mark Cherico was like in love with the dude. He's like, this is my favorite fighter. He's like, you gotta watch Fightville, and just seeing his struggles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the guy that's and he always posts and tags hashtags paid in full. That dude he paid his dues.
Exactly.
And going back to like putting those hard deposits in, that's you got to pay those deposits, or they're not going to show up and fight day, and that's what really matters. But those dudes, I got so much respect for those dudes that come from literally the gutter and believe in themselves
and just don't stop. Darren Elkins setting records.
Oh man, Darren Elkins, that's another guy. Darren Elkins, when he came out here,
oh my God, when he came out here.
Remember when Rick
Rufus is out here?
Rick Rufus was taking us through line drills, and
we're looking for a striking coach.
Yeah, he kept going like crossing his feet, and Rick kept going, "You're crossing your feet," and Elkins would look back and be like, keep going. All right, to the right, to the left, go back with this basic. He kept crossing his feet. He's like, "Oh, you're crossing your feet again." And Elkins was like, "Dude, it ain't me, dude. I'm getting pissed." He's like, "I'm getting pissed, dude." He's like getting pissed. And he kept calling him out, crossing his feet. I was like, but Elkins, one of those dudes, like just a hard nosed dude, like will do whatever you want him to do.
Bro, I love that. When Elkins came out here, he's like, "Hey, you see anything I need to work on?" I said, "We need to work on footwork." And I said, I put him through a couple little drills. That dude, yesterday, he's been out here what?
Yep.
He's been out here maybe 6 years, something like that. 5 years. And when I'm teaching a morning practice at 8:30, he comes in early for half an hour and he's working on the same footwork drills from 5 years ago when I was like, I think this is the biggest thing you need to work on is footwork.
For sure.
I love guys like that.
He has, incredible heart, tenacity, the willpower of him. Just
he's got some natural gifts too. Coordination is not one of them.
Coordination is not one of them.
But he's strong as hell.
He's super strong, and he's one of those guys that you're gonna have to kill.
Yeah, you have to kill
to win.
People underestimate that trait.
Dude, that's when you got a guy that does not willing to give up in a long 15-minute fight or 25-minute fight. That's hard to deal with because you literally got to stop them or knock them out because they're going to keep coming from each belly. And no matter if he's covered in blood.
I feel like Kaleo's the new Elkins.
Kaleo is exactly like that.
Like you get him in a deep choke. I'll get that guy in a deep choke. And I'm like, I got this.
You're hearing him gurgling.
You're like, all right, he's almost there. Next thing you know, your arms are gassed out, and he's on top of you. You're like, fuck.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I felt like I almost got Elkins. I'm like, oh, I got him in this guillotine, dude. And like, he's bellying out, he's rolling, he's gurgling, he's bellying out, back out again to fight out of it, and then he gets out, and he's like, and you see him all red, and then he comes after you, and he's like on top of you, and you're like, oh shit, your arms are spent.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, yeah, you ain't getting me with that, dude. I'm like, yeah, I can tell.
That's one thing about Elkins is, and I've got to know him a lot, throughout the years, because I'm always picking his brain. He's like one of those guys that I'm like, dude, I can learn a lot from him. And he's a great father. That's what he's puts his family first, and he's been really smart on other things. And I hear about his family coming up, and it was not pretty for him. And I feel like for you, I've always said that you're one of the best guys on the planet, hands down, I would say, of manifesting things that you want, like thinking things into reality. And sometimes I feel like it's almost like a problem to where you get that stuff and it happens quick for you, and then you're like, okay, what's next?
Yeah.
And then you have to figure out the things that are exciting for you. First off, is there a secret to that? Is that something that you've learned? Is it something you're conscious of? Are you aware that you're somebody that can think things into fruition? And what do you attribute that to? Why are you able to do that?
I think it was going back to, as a child, having just a vivid imagination. Like, I was very, I don't know, I could remember things, or the dreams and, visions that I had as a kid. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then I would start, like, not even knowing what manifestation was or law of attraction would do that just instinctively.
Yeah.
Wrestling tournaments, I remember national tournaments, like tournament champions. I want to win this. I want to, they gave out a watch and a cool, like, trophy football helmet. I'm like, dude, that's so cool. I want to be the best. Those are cool. I want to get those gifts, but I want to be the best. So just like manifesting, getting that, or
is that something,
new singlet or shoes?
Yeah, I've met your mom, and I don't know. We haven't had too many in-depth conversations. I know how my mom is. I'm like, there's like one person I'm scared of in the world. That's my mom.
Oh God, yeah.
But also she's like my biggest supporter. Like, you can do anything, and don't oh, they're making fun of you. That they're jealous of you, right? They're just jealous. That was like a big thing, and it would, like, I remember one time, my brother. You always think they're adults to the right, and there was a bus driver who was like really a moron, and she had been driving the special ed kids for a long time, and now she's driving regular kids, and she was telling us what to do. And my brother, like, had been getting into it with her. And my brother's not like my brother. He's not like that type of guy, but he didn't like her vibe or whatever was going on, and just knew that what she was doing was incorrect. She used to, like, tell us to keep her head up, and then she'd, like, slam on the brakes to, like, teach us a lesson, like that kind of lady, right? And so I remember getting so scared. We pulled over on the side of the road. The lady stops the bus because her and my brother were, like, getting into it, and it was out of character for my brother. And they called my mom to come see us, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get in so much trouble. And my mom got there and was like, just lost it on the lady. It was like, my son does not blah blah, like, just completely had our back. And I was so shocked that an adult had got us in trouble. They had stopped the whole thing and made this big ordeal. And my mom came there and was fired up at the bus driver. And I was like, that's a good, like, indicator of the kind of support I had. What kind of lessons, because you had a great upbringing, but you also had a lot of family members in prison. Even your uncle Bob had been in trouble early and got out of it and changed his life. But your dad and a lot of people in the 922, what is it? You want help, call 911. You want trouble, call 922.
Yep.
I love that. So you came up in an environment that wasn't perfect, but what were some of the things that you learned that were positive and some that are negative that you're bringing into your parenting with your son that's going to make him believe he can do anything? Are you aware of that stuff? Have you thought about that yet?
Yes, definitely. I think that a lot of the negative things that I was exposed to as a child, geared me or prepared me for those times when you become a young teenager, young adult, where, like, you've had those examples in your life, talking about people addicted to drugs,
Yeah.
heavy drugs. I'm not talking about, marijuana, talking about coke, heroin,
Yeah.
crack cocaine, all that shit. So my uncles and fathers, my father were addicted to those things. So I saw them,
You knew.
right
Not
away.
for
I
me.
mean, like I just, you just know that's like a horrible drug to even, it steals from you. And obviously, we had some of adults in our life that were, close to us and around and knew would kind of, teach
Remind
us
you.
and remind us about, like, this is why this is happening. This is why he's in prison. This is why he's not here. 'Cause and Uncle Bob was the number one thing that drugs steal from you. Like drugs,
Yeah.
alcohol, they steal
You
from
know, Cody,
Like,
nobody
wins on drugs.
wins on drugs,
That
Cody.
was something that, as a lot of things that Bob has taught us on, the sweet science and boxing and stuff, but also a lot of like simple things like that. Like, no one does win on drugs. And you had those examples in your life, your father, your uncles. But to have those, something like, I always looked up to Uncle Robert because, he was the father figure in my life. He took us everywhere. He spent time with us, took us to dinner, bought us clothes and stuff like that. So,
Didn't you have to sneak in the boxing because your mom was like, you didn't want you punch drunk, so you had to sneak in the boxing for you?
He used to always sneak, like, I was always afraid to death to drive with him because I don't know. Zach was the firstborn grandchild, or
Yeah.
or nephew, so they had just naturally just coasted to Zach. So I always had to sit in the back seat in the bucket seat. Zach was always up front, and like Bob was always driving like a fucking maniac, and like I don't know, just making me do the dumbest shit where he'd get a joke out of it,
Yeah.
And Zach was always kicking the shit out of me.
He was always. Was he always kicking the shit out of you because I've seen you guys interact, and at this point, I feel like first off, that's your day one. I mean, when you can have a lot of things change and shift in your life, but you got a brother that's 10 months apart from you, and you guys have beat the shit out of each other, and that dude respects you on a level. Like, I feel like you've knocked some sense in him throughout the years, and he's gained
I've only
respect
hurt him
for you.
one time.
But you know which one. But how many times did he hurt you?
He's knocked me a few times. One time, I remember he choked me. He was like, Darth Vader choked me, and I was like getting ready to like just everything, trying to get him off, like to swing back, and he like cracked me, and I was like, went down. I was on all fours. My mom was like, "What the hell are you guys doing? Coming outside?" And I don't remember. I'm like, "Oh shit, I think Zach knocked me," but he choked me out a few times. I remember the first time I got choked out, I was like probably like 11 or 12, and I was so afraid when I came back too. I didn't know what happened. Obviously, it was over a video game, and I just remember that like I was like, oh, and like I remember my head was like just head was spinning, and just it was the weirdest feeling, and so. Yeah, we've been in some wars, man.
I mean, and the coolest thing that I've seen as of late is, you had that quick rise to where, you're on your last dollar, get a big win, put you above board, and then it's like a fast rise to champion. And then we had that big skid with, whether your head's in the right space or the injuries or a bunch of things stockpiling, some bad luck, everyone coming out of the woodworks, life, etc. Yeah. But we're on a super up.
Yeah, I think
up trajectory, and your brother being out here with you right now.
Yeah, it's been nice.
It's been pretty awesome. I feel like
and we both have children, so our children growing up together has been just nice watching them, the growth of them together, and doing parenthood, and being fathers. Something that we didn't have in our life. It's nice. He's a great father. He's he loves his daughter, and that's what I can be most proud of is the title of being a father. And no matter what happens in this life or this career, I feel like this is just a bonus, and it allows me to, provide and do things that I want to do for my son and my family. And it just is a bonus. I feel like I'm enjoying it now as it settles in. Like, it's a lot of pressure to be a father, and especially when you didn't have a good example of one. Like that's what I was just so focused on. I think make sure that I was not missing anything, and obviously like life comes at you, and we went on the skid, but I truly believe that those downtimes in my life, or those years of losses in my life, as we can talk about on a career, has allowed me to regroup, refocus,
And grow as a person.
And grow.
Probably.
I mean, it was growth. I mean,
definitely. I mean, any little dips, and I feel like because I read your book. I always mess with this guy because I quote stuff from his book all the time, like the runs, the run that he went through when he first got here. I'm always like, bro, that's my favorite part of your book. So you ever see me tag the favorite part of his book? It's because we've had discussions about running before, and I always
hate the run.
Right.
That's when I was just thinking about that not too long ago. I think last week, because I was walking my dog, and where I live at, there's telephone poles. I remember back in the day in Roswell, Ohio, Bob would run with me. He'd be like, all right, we're going to run. Every other telephone pole is a sprint. Like, all right, and Austin was probably only 11.
Yeah.
10, 11.
It's your cousin.
And my cousin,
Yeah.
Bob's son, would drive in the truck behind us. And I was like, man, this is probably, not that he was driving, that he was just driving behind us. Like, Austin was probably one of those guys.
Wait, he was how old?
He was like 10 or 11. Like,
Oh, bro, I got some Austin stories because he lived out here before.
Gosh.
He's like, yeah, when I was 17, I was driving across lines doing this, and I once had this guy stabbed me, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
yeah,
man.
he's Austin. Yeah. So I'm like, my thing was like, I don't care about running. Like, I'm more worried about Austin running us over, thinking it was funny. You know what I mean? Like, swear, exactly like that what he would do. So I'm like, all right, so I'm like pushing myself, but like keeping
that is
the back of my mind that Austin is behind us. So we get down to the one stretch, and it's about 2.5, 3 miles of road, of strip through Roswell, of the telephone poles, and Bob would do it with me. I see him, Bob was like, he behind me the whole time, and he's like, keep going, and we go down. He's like, go down to the stop sign and come back, and then I hear like the car door shut. I'm like, oh, Bob got in there in the car and didn't, like, I had to do it on my own on the way back, but he was there. He's like, come on, push, but I just remember like the telephone poles. Every time I see telephone poles, he make you sprint every other one.
Yeah,
so.
that's all. Well, you know, I don't mind. I just like that to reference back to that because, you know, Cody gives me a lot of shit. I like to give it back on occasion. But
this is the biggest shit talker. You can wear an outfit and you're like, whoa, man, looking good, man. Love the blue one. It's like,
hey,
what's a normal?
You got style,
what's a normal greeting? Can I just say, what's up, Uriah? How you doing? How's the kids? You know, it's always a jab with him. It's always.
Come on, man.
That's Uriah.
Fair. But anyways, that being said, hey, there's a little trend now in Diego. You know Diego Sanchez. Have you caught up on the Diego Sanchez stuff?
You know, actually sent me that was Coach Henry was here. And he's like, bro. He's like, watch what I sent you. And I'm like, watch it. And he's like, are you freaking kidding me?
Was it where he's hanging upside down, getting punched in the face?
Dude, I was like, okay, he was hitting him. Then he was like doing the breathing. I was like, all right, he started stretching. I was like, okay, you know, like maybe decompression. Then he started going, and Diego's like, the whole time. And I'm like, what the heck? So I hit 15 seconds.
For reference, this is a video of Diego hanging like a bat from a rope, and his coach mentor is blindfolded, is punching him in the face like a punching bag.
Punching him, and then has him hang up. I was like, okay. I'm like, all right, he's punching him. Like, what the hell is this doing? And then he has his upside down hanging like this, and his dude is kicking the shit out of his forearms and the side of his head and wrapping, probably the foot's wrapping back up behind. And then I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? Then he's in a freaking boxing ring with blindfolded, and he's getting whipped by a black belt. And then, like, he's supposed to get hit by it. So you see him get hit. He's like, oh. And then he's like, throws a combo, and he's like moving, trying to hit it. And like, he falls out of the ring. I'm like, what is going on?
So Diego's been sending me messages on Instagram, and I tried to talk to him. He said it'd be nice to have someone to talk to at the moment with a perspective, blah, blah. Called him one time to try to get, but then I've been looking into this thing, you know, on the World Wide Web, and I'm like, dude, what's going on here? This whole scenario is nuts. And the Jonah Fabia guy, I think he probably has Diego's access to his social media and stuff like that. But he also is like kind of ruining things for Diego. Diego's gonna have this big fight with Cowboy. It's gonna be a retirement thing. And I'm sitting here, I'm thinking back because I had a message after I was cornering Song for a fight, and I was in the corner with Diego and his coach. What's his name? Joshua Fabia. And they were doing these crazy like maneuvers. Like he's like tiger, and he's like claws, and he's like something, and he was like spinning. And
is that when he had the knife with him too?
Yeah, he didn't have a knife. I don't know if he had a knife on this one. I don't think so. But it was me and Jorge Masvidal were in the same room. And I was just watching. I'm like, man, I'm curious to see how this plays out, you know? So then Diego ends up losing the fight, and he texts me because I was fighting my return fight like a week later, and he texts me on Instagram. He goes, "Good luck, brother. Just to let you know, the officials came in and said, look, this is a friendly competition. You can't be using these tools out there because we don't want you to hurt anybody." Something like that. And I was like, dang, they told you that, huh, Diego? He's like, yeah, man, they basically censored my thing, but go do your thing, blah, blah, blah. Like the commission came in and told him he can't be using these weapons that, who's calling me? This has got to be the twin brothers are calling from from Chechnya.
Yes, yeah. WhatsApp. Please,
WhatsApp over and over. It's 6 times in a row.
Yeah.
Boys, I'll get back to you. But so I'm sitting there, and he says, like, hey, the commission came in and told me, look, this is a organized, like, friendly bout, and you can't use these deadly weapons and thing. And they censored him, so he wasn't able to go out there and do his thing. Wasn't able to do.
He was not doing the crouching tiger, hidden dragon.
Yeah, he wasn't.
His coach said like he taught Diego like a death, something that could kill a man.
Yeah,
that move off of
like that. Yeah,
the move off of a hot rod where the girl does it, where it shits himself. He's like, it's a move, you don't want to use it. And he's like, no, shit, it doesn't. Like, he's like, does it. The girl does it to him. He's like, well, that didn't work, and he walks off with shit. Like, he has like shit in his hands.
But anyways, man, I feel for Diego because I want him to get his last fight in there. I think at this point it's kind of
17
it's not going to happen for him. 17 years, and
he's
he's done a lot. And people say Diego's crazy, lost his mind. Go back and watch the original Tough, and he's the same exact dude. He's harnessing the lightning bolts, and he's like manifesting this. He had a tie to Sacramento because the Maloof brothers used to sponsor him because they're both from New Mexico. And so I got to have some dinners with him. And he's just like Dan Gable said, one of my best attributes is that I'm gullible. He goes, my coaches tell me something, I do it. And I think Diego's got that same thing. But at this point, I feel like this guy is ruining his last little stint in his career, and it's unfortunate. So, Diego, rooting for you, buddy. I'm glad that you have an OnlyFans. That's what I was going to segue into Cody here because I feel like, hey, with that beard and the body, the manscaping you do, the outfits you wear. What's Paige Van Zant? She's gone full bore on. She's got her own Van Zant site. What are the girls to us?
There's like Pearl in Paradise.
Those are catchy. The Valerie, Cody, No Love, All Access.
No Love Hotline.
No Love Hotline. You could do some acrobatic stuff, hang out with your wang out. You could just, there's a lot of things you can do. Is that something in the future these people can see? Like maybe a little fans only or a No Love?
My career takes
Love, All Love?
A plunge. Yeah, we might have to do a OnlyFans.
I think there's a lot of money being made.
I just learned about Wiki Feet not too long ago.
Wiki Feet?
Macy Barber showed me. She was like,
what is that?
Hey,
it's like,
did you hear, before you go on, did you hear Jonah mutter underneath his breath when you said, oh, Jesus. That means this guy's been creeping around on that Wiki Feet thing.
Wiki Feet?
I didn't even know what it was.
Is it like a collection of feet?
You type a celebrity's name and it pulls up all these photos of feet that people have like screenshotted from your story or just.
Oh,
I was told Dominic Cruz has a foot fetish, but a girl told me that.
Doesn't he have like plantar fasciitis? So he's probably like jealous of everyone's good with feet. I don't know. I would be.
We should call him.
Let's call him.
Should we call him and ask him?
Hey,
let's see if he picks up. Let's call it.
Actually, I had.
He's gonna get all fired up. Let's not call him.
Yeah, we don't. we don't want to give him too much. Yeah, I'm still blocked, man. I'm still blocked on Twitter and Instagram.
He unblocked me on Instagram. I'm actually following him for the first time.
Does he?
I called him out. I said, bro, I was gonna tag him in this old photo, and I was like, dude, I'm blocked. So I made a statement. I guess I'm still blocked. Now he unblocked me. Thanks, man. Dom, you the bomb, baby.
Dom the bomb.
So let's talk about the current status of the 135-pound division. Rob Font's ranked number 3 at this point, and got some good steam. He's earned that the hard way. I didn't realize it's been over 8 years since he was out here before he was in the UFC throwing punches. I do remember him having a really strong jab. He was pretty effective with that jab, and not super impressed with anything else at that time. That was 10 years ago at this point. But let's talk about some of these guys. First off, what do you think about the Peter Yan Aljo fight? Was that just give me your thoughts. I'm not gonna even.
Man, I don't even know what to think about that. I mean,
What was the tweet?
So you better not walk out with that
man,
belt.
like, dude, you are not winning that fight, no matter what the judges or scorecards rendered.
Did the scorecard say he was winning?
Statistically, I'm like, you were getting your ass whooped. Like, you took that knee. Okay, it was a legal knee. Yeah, you're right. But you're walking around with the belt. You're parading around with the belt, having pictures with the belt. It's just, bro, like, why? You didn't win the fight. Yeah, it was a no contest. Like, personally, me, I would not take the belt. Like, I would not walk out like.
I feel like Aljo did that at first. He threw
did
the belt
he's
down,
like, and then he said some kind of, the MMA clickbait shit was like, oh, my teammates made me wear it, this and that. They're doing shots, whatever, man. Like, you want to hold on to that being a world champion, good on you. But that's personally not why I'm.
So do you think he should have, in all like transparency, do you think he should have got up, shook it off, and continued the fight?
Here's the thing.
Would you?
I don't know how he felt. You know what I mean? I think there's a little bit of give in there. He was getting his ass beat. He's like, hey, maybe this is the way that I can get out of this fight, run it back, maybe train differently, do something differently, come at the approach differently. You know, in the next fight, because he knew he was down in rounds. He was really slowing down. I mean, he was slowing down heavy. Like, he was fatiguing in there. And fatigue makes cowards of us all, you know, when you're not prepared to do that. And so I don't know. I can't say that. But, you know, if he was hurt, then okay, then that's fine. Live the fight another day. And there's that argument as well. But don't parade around like you're a world champion because of that, because you're not.
And
then for Peter Yan, you're a fucking dumbass. Like, you're like, oh, you want me punch, coach? You want me kick? Yeah, kick, coach. Yeah, kick. No, yeah, go ahead, kick him. Kick him. Kick him knee him in the face. Yeah, you're winning the fight, knee him in the face.
Is he sticking to that? That his coaches said that?
Oh, I don't know. He's just an idiot.
Here's the deal with Yan, like, and look, that guy's reminds me kind of, his background reminds me of you in a lot of ways, where he's come up the hard way. He's had a lot of hard amateur fights, and I know that in his off time, he's been putting himself in uncomfortable positions. What's your opinion of him as a champion? How do you think you stack up with him? I know how I feel about it. Yeah. And when I fought the guy, I was 40 years old. No excuses there. But I was surprised to me. I didn't feel like he was super fast or dynamic, but he obviously must have power. And I didn't feel the power, but I was getting rocked by the power. And taking into consideration, I am at this age not 26 like he was, but
and I know you're not gonna make excuses, but let's just say that wasn't your best camp with a lot of shit that you've had go on during that camp, right?
Yeah.
And that's just inside.
Yeah.
But you always show up and come to fight, you know, and you know, that's why you're Urijah Faber. You've been.
So what do you think about him as a champion? Is that someone that you see yourself like taking on next after you start Rob, or is it?
It's gonna be hard to see, like, how long
down to 25s maybe. What do you think?
That's what I'm gonna see. Hey, look. Davison and Moreno are fighting, June? Right, like a couple weeks after me?
Yeah.
Look, I made 35. You guys want me to keep down the weight. Fat Boy's already missed weight a couple times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Davison's missed weight. He's a big 25 pounder.
And he was here. He was big, man.
He's big. I mean, we did
2 camps with us.
We got Raul, who's bigger than me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Halion?
Halion is bigger than me.
Raul, I love that. Well, yeah, you cut off. No, that's Raul. But there's more to his name. It's Raul Ian.
Raul Ian.
But yeah, he's bigger than you too.
He's bigger than me.
He's our Brazilian 125 pounder, and he's going into fight week this week on the same card, the same weight as you. Yeah.
No, he's heavier than me. I'm like, bro, you fighting 35? He's like, oh no, flyweight.
Look, that's something that I don't think people understand about you. And I guess the way I was when I was fighting 145 pounds, I was only cutting 8 to 9 pounds, and I felt great. I was super lean, and I, hate to put myself on blast, but we did do the body composition, and if I was retired, I was 10 pounds heavier than Cody, and he had a half a pound more muscle in each one of his arms. I was pissed, but that goes to show like weight is not necessarily the key factor, and it depends on how dense your muscles are, how your bones are, etc. And you do a great job at 35s, but you could easily make 25s.
Easily. Like right now, I woke up at 46. I haven't really been dieting. I don't. The UFC PI and Trifecta, shout out.
Trifecta.
Woo-hoo. they do all my meals. I eat them all camp and year round, but they do the meals, and that's all I do. Like, and then my weight just drops.
Yeah,
I woke up at 46 today.
PI.
UFC PI. The guys are great, but so I can make if Dana and Sean and Mick and want me to stay down and make 125 to make sure that Fat Boy Davison makes it. I've trained for a 5-round fight, and I'm gonna go in there and Lord willing, be unscathed in this fight. Anything can happen in a fight, but I truly believe that I'm going to be the winner. Next
You
week.
could do either one. I mean, you could be a title contender at both weight classes.
I can be a title contender at both weight classes, but if they want me to stay as an alternate, because like I said, Davidson's missed weight.
As an alternate, you said?
As even alternate or jump in, like I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Like, if it needs to be, but either or, if it's at 35 or 25, I think 35's with Aljamain claiming that he's a champion and he just had neck surgery.
What do you think about Aljamain as a matchup for you and style wise? Because there are some impressive things about Aljamain. He is big weight for the weight class. He's a good wrestler, but I mean, we have some of the best wrestlers on the planet here in jiu-jitsu.
His best
attributes
we have an answer for.
Yeah.
And I think truly that anyone in the flyweight, bantamweight, the difference that I bring inside the octagon is speed and power. And that's something that you can't train for.
Right.
Or train against, because you're not going to go with guys that are faster as me or as hard as me inside there. So that's one thing that when everything stacks up, speed and power.
Well, the one thing that you're not mentioning, which I'll mention, and it's just a testament to the losses that you have had. As an amateur, you had your one loss that was because of this, and then in the most recent in the UFC. But you're a guy, you have that factor we talked about that people don't count. You're going to have to kill Cody Garbrandt to take him out of a fight. I mean, the mentality, and there are people that break in there. We've seen people that break that tap out due to strikes or have an injury and can't go on, or just you can see the life getting sucked out of them. That's not an option with a guy like you. And for most of the guys at the top, let's talk about TJ Sandhagen and TJ versus Sandhagen. That's another one too. But you have that factor in spades. That's why you're a champion. That's why your losses have been where your lights are out, or you're die by your sword, because that's the kind of fighter you are. And I don't feel like everybody in that top list has that, but there are a few.
There's a few.
Yeah, TJ and Sandhagen. I don't know about Sandhagen's willpower. His skill set is high level, and he's believes in himself.
Yeah, he believes in himself, but I just look back at the fight, and I got a lot of respect for Corey. I don't think he's a bad dude at all. But when he fought Aljamain, he just, I don't know, it just looked like he just shit the bed, man. It's like a lot of holes, and like a lot of holes in that. Like he let someone capitalize and choke him out. He's been on a tear since then. Good for him. But and then TJ, I think it's gonna be curious to see TJ come back off of his aid, and see how well he does.
Yeah, and more than anyone, you knew more than I did about what was going on. You actually called him out in a press conference and whatnot. But you just know. Do you think he's going to find a way to cheat again? I mean, he's got that in. That's part of why he does things. I think
just cheaters find a way to cheat, man.
Yeah.
I think that's something that he has never had enough confidence in himself to be like, oh, I'm the fastest, I'm this, I'm the strongest. So he's like, oh, I want to level the playing field or get better than them. So he's going to find a way.
Well, here's one hard thing to think about, because I know a lot of people that take, PEDs because they don't believe in themselves. And a lot of times those people don't get there anyways, because they've got a hard hurdle to jump over, which is a lack of self-confidence and self-belief. Now, there's the other side where you get a cheater that understands exactly why he's not good enough, right? And that's dangerous. That's what you have in TJ. TJ has a lot of the attributes, but he did an assessment. He's in a room with a bunch of natural killers, with guys that are gifted athletes that have worked hard just like him. And he works hard.
Yeah, he does.
He's a killer. But he he couldn't get past 142 pounds wet for a lot of years. And at some point he realized, okay, I have this mentality. He does have a championship mentality. I'll attest to that. But he realized there's some things that he has to do that he didn't get from the big man above and his awesome parents. And in the genetic area. And so he found that that hole, and then finally got caught with it. The question is, him knowing that, because he knows it, otherwise you wouldn't have done it. Is he going to find a way to close that gap, or are we going to see a big fall off in his skill set? I think it's either or.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think about it.
You know, that's I hope he continues to win. You know, that's
Is that when you'd like to get back?
So that's the only fight that I see that
gets you really excited.
Well, I just, you know, that's from my soul. You know, because I know where I was at, and I'm not the one to make excuses. He caught me on a down period of my life, and just just distance from everything. Love, passion. My love and passion's back, and who can say whatever he wants. USADA can say, you know, that they tested a sample is bullshit. You're gonna tell me you have a bank full of piss just stored from years ago, over 600 fighters on the roster that you're going, oh, let's go. Then you got to go back and test John Jones shit because he failed. Then you got to go test all these fighters.
Opens a whole can of worms.
They're not going to do that. Like, anyone that's that gullible to believe that USADA went back and tested these samples are full of shit. And that's why I'm like, hey, you know, let's make it right. Let me go out there and do my job. He goes out there and does his job. Forget this clown show at the front with Aljamain and Peter, however long that's going to go. We're next in line for who's the best. TJ, you believe that you're the best? You believe that you're the world champion? You cheated, so that's off the record. Me, I was the world champion, and it was stolen from a cheater. So let me go out there and prove that. That's the only way that this can eliminate USADA saying they went and, you know, tested the previous one. TJ saying that he wasn't on there. We got to fight. That's the greatest thing about fighting. That's how you settle it.
Well, that's in the future, and I'm excited to hear about that. And I'm curious. I mean. You know, you get a long ways with hard work ethic and believing in yourself and the right skill set and some gifts, but there really is only one way to find out. And I can attest because, you know, I get to see the back end of a lot of things that happen. I know we had some conversations out on the beach and whatnot, and going for runs and just like I was saying, reaching a pinnacle, and you had a lot of great things that were motivators, not only, you know, coming out from where you were, being an athlete, which is a big part of who you are growing up, and the support system that you've earned over time was because of the success that you've had. You get to the pinnacle, you got people coming out of the woodworks. Yeah. You also had the battle for cancer, which was a huge motivator for you, right. And something that you're like, dude, we got to accomplish this thing. And it was just kind of a regrouping of like, hey, what is the next goal? What are you excited about? And like, what happens, and I'll tell you young kids out there watching, what happens in your life when you go from somebody that is worrying about attaining something to getting it, and the things that happen when you're in the limelight and everything else. You get a lot of people that understand how cool it is to be with you. Right. You know, how cool it is to be with you, and they'll do whatever they can to get you to be with them versus them being with you. And all I mean by that is me and Cody are sitting here talking. If I want to continue the conversation with Cody, he gets up and starts walking. I need to get up and walk with him. If he starts running, I want to continue the conversation. I got to run with him. If he gets on a bike and I want to continue that conversation, I got to get on a bike with him. And it's weird because I went through it also, where people want you to come be with them. And right now I feel like the people that are around you are on your journey. Yep. That want the same things that you want and are here with you, not trying to pull you away from what makes you you. And you're a champion. You've been a champion in football. You've been a champion in wrestling. You're an all-state linebacker. Mm-hmm. Your little ass was a all-state linebacker. That's a killer's position, by the way. State champion, world champion. You know, taking out boxers that are world champions. I mean, you are a champion. And you're back on that trajectory. So
yeah, I'm excited.
I'll kind of end with that. You got anything to add about that? So, what's the link to your OnlyFans again?
Yeah. Not there yet. Hopefully we don't go there.
That's funny. And you know what we didn't touch on before we go? And this is something that you're constantly learning on and developing also. And you've already, I mean, you've got some stake in a bunch of different companies, but the one that you've become an expert for and really made a push, found some investors, built out a cutting edge facility, put the right people in place with your mom and Jeremy Perkins as a CFO. Is the Cody No Love Bullies? I mean, that is a world that I've never even been exposed to, and the depth that you know about those dogs is just kind of reminds me of why you're a champion in other areas, because when you go after something, you become an expert in it. What has that been like creating a business, and how's it going?
You know, No Love Bullies has been a passion for me. I've always loved pit bulls, and then obviously the American Bully breed. I came to know years ago. I remember looking at some websites of bullies and never having enough money to buy these dogs. But I was always in love. I've always had dogs growing up, and first and foremost, I was always driven to this breed because I think they're like myself.
Yeah.
They're not. You look at them, you're like, oh, they're scary looking.
Like if I was a dog,
I'd be a
pit.
I'd be a pit. Yeah, but
I'd be a golden retriever, by the way.
As history states, they were the nanny dogs, and they're the best dogs breeds. American Bullies.
They were nanny dogs.
They're nanny dogs. Yep.
See, this is what I'm saying. Every single time I talk to Cody about the dogs, I learn something new, and I'm like, dude, I'm like intrigued because it's like a fine art, the dog life.
Yeah, it's crazy, the dog world, as you call it. But even Little Rascals, Petey was a pit bull, and that was old Petey. That's my son. My son loves Little Rascals. But I got into it. Actually, I purchased a dog. Canelo was my first American bully, and XL. So that's a classification. XL is the biggest American bully, and it goes from height. Now people get wrapped up like, oh, he's so big his weight, but it's the height of the American bully that makes him the XL.
Oh, that's
standard, pocket, micro.
So what I'd have been? I'd have been a micro.
You probably have been a standard pocket. We're probably.
You're taller than me, so you're barely taller than me, so you'd be a little bit above that.
I'm probably a standard. Yeah, you might be a pocket, but so we did that, and I ended up we're gone a lot, travel a lot, with our jobs. So I was like, told Danny, I was like, I'm gonna get a dog, and it was like, being like coaxing, and I was like, oh, it's a smaller dog, and I was like, all right, hey, so it's a little bit larger dog, and I was like, all right, well, it's an XL American Bully. And I've studied this breed. I mean, researched this breed for years and years. Like I said, I've never had money enough to buy one.
Yeah, splurge on
an expensive dog. But I wanted a dog that looked like it was very intimidating. If you saw that, you wouldn't want to go into the house, kind of thing, or you wouldn't approach it. Be traveling away. But these dogs are honestly the greatest protectors. Like I said, they're nanny dogs. So I got into it and just really fell in love with the breed.
This is a family business now? You have your mom,
my mom and brother that they do it all. They whelp the litters. It's in Ohio. Our facility's in Ohio.
This is like a cutting edge facility.
Yeah, we've invested a lot and give everything back into the dogs. I think the dogs are the priority. We health test our dogs. Though we have all the puppies, we health test them for hundreds of variants before we ended up selling them to their families, because a lot of people come and spend their hard-earned money to buy these dogs and to make, basically add a family member. So you want to have these variants where they have, these illnesses. They have to take them to the vets, and then vets are just money splurgers. Once you go to the vets, kind of like you're always going to go to the vet because the vets are like, oh, we see this, we see that. So we want to make sure that our dogs are healthy. We breed. We're first and foremost good faith breeders. That's how I got into it. I bought some dogs out of love of them, wanting some. And I got totally just, taken over in tens of $20,000.
Taking advantage of you?
Advantage of like the dogs not turning out. They were
gotcha.
Unhealthy, malnourished, and they're supposed to be golden standard or something. Like the breeders. A lot of the breeders in this game don't give back to the dogs. And that's one thing that I was like, dude, this is the dogs.
That's like boxing versus MMA.
Exactly. The dogs should come first. And so I'm like, if we ever, and people are like, oh, we love Canelo, so I post on, we'd love to get a puppy off him. So I ended up getting a female, and then started getting some females. All right, we can do some breedings. And I was like, let's have some puppies, and then I was like, let's make no little bullies and do it, and do it right. And I've met some of the greatest people in the bully world that have helped out. And there's different color variants, codes. And there's the Merle. It's a Merle movement right now. If you see Legion, I just produced him. He's 3.5 months old. He's out here in California now, off of one of my first 3 breedings. That's him, yeah. So that's a
Let me see
Merle. That's a
that
chocolate
guy.
tri-Merle. So it's a Merle movement.
These
And
dogs
there's
are
just
beautiful.
different color variants, health testing, all this stuff, and like it's
And
more
it's-
than just taking two dogs together and letting them
Right.
breed. So I studied the pedigrees, line breed some of the dogs. For me, it was always a passion, but I always wanted to make the breed healthier. So they last longer. Because I've had some of these dogs have gotten me through my worst times. Having a dog always by my side. But also
man's best friend, they say.
Yeah, it's a dog is God spelled backwards, and having just the breeding, like just to change the culture awareness in the breeding. Because I even looked at them like, man, breeding dogs, like, forget that, but
Yeah.
a platform to really be good faith breeders, like, hey,
Good faith breeders means you're doing things on the up and up for the
ethics,
dogs,
morals,
first.
not overbreeding
think
dogs. I
that's
know some
important.
dogs are getting bred more times than
Yeah.
not they should be.
I had a girlfriend in the past who was like the anti.
Oh yeah.
Like go to the pet shop, go to the don't adopt, don't shop, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, but the way you're doing it could just put a zipper over the mouth of that.
Exactly, and that's what a lot of the times are and I'm all for that, adopting dogs. Like we've adopted dogs in the past, we have. But my thing is the same thing. You're going, say a random person will go, I'm going to go adopt this dog. They go to the animal shelter. They go look at the dogs. All right, there might be some ugly ones, mange, that. They're looking at the best dog out of that kennel or animal shelter that has the least fleas. So you're really selecting a dog. So why wouldn't you want to select a dog that comes from a reputable breeder, that it's health tested, that knows the parents, knows the bloodline, knows the pedigree, to know we're like, all right, maybe this dog doesn't do well with, it has a little bit more of a prey drive. Prey drive mean, it's animals.
Maybe
or
it might bite you.
Not bite you, but might not get along with other dogs, or might cats or squirrels. Like all these, like you can look back and be like, all right, this dog has a little bit of prey dog. This dog's mom or this dog doesn't really get along with other dogs. It'd be better in a single family. No other pets.
That's important.
The same thing when you go to a shelter. You're looking at that dog like, how's it get along? Does it come up? Does it roll on its belly? Let me pet it. Does it bark or snip at me when I try to pet it? Like you're still going there and like basically
Selecting a dog.
Selecting a dog. You're not like, oh, here, I'm going to foster this dog. I'm going to take this dog. You're checking out. You're looking at it, seeing if it has mange. Like most of it, right? Like so. The adopt shop people, I get their,
Well, I think for me, it comes down to what your passions are. It's almost like Chad in the hunting business, Fins and Feathers, and Clay with his Gills and Thrills. It's like, what are your passions and what does it stand for? Like Chad will not kill anything he won't eat, and he hates the way animals are raised in the farms and that kind of stuff, and likes his process, and that's his passion. Then we have people on the other side of the passion, and that's great that people have the passionate world. Right now, you've got something that you're doing that's positive for animals. How do people find information on it? What's the, if they want to select a dog, what's the price range, like the low and the high?
We have a process that pick of the litter is obviously the highest. So our dogs start off at $6,000 and go up from pick. Obviously, some pet homes, some dogs, have some variants where they have kink tails or underbites or cleft palates. So sometimes that happens. We sell them as pet homes. That means no breeding rights. You can go to nolabullies.com. We evaluate every client that inquires about a dog. Seeing the background. You do some like pre-qualifying.
Yeah,
we're not just selling. We have contracts written up to where
you're like, can we see your dog history, please?
Yeah, for
Give
sure.
me a picture of you and your dog.
I'm just not selling. Like we asked for that. Like, hey, we'd like to see updates of our dogs. Like, make sure they're getting well taken care of. And if you're not able to, say you're going to sell them, we want to have the first right to buy them back off you. So we don't want just like, oh, you're giving this dog Joe Schmo. Like we want to know where our dogs go.
Right.
So that where it's all contracted, bind up to make sure that we're just giving these are dogs that we raise and we've had as puppies that we want to make sure that they give them the best life. And that's at the end of the day, all the money is getting them to good homes and just kind of showing what this breed can do and how amazing it is, because it's so that's it's a pit bull, it's mean, it's vicious. Okay, like no, it won't. Like let's try to use the platform to better the breed, better the standards of breeders. And that's why I got into it for horror. And
it's cool,
I truly love the dogs. I'm seeing them with my son, So
yeah, if you guys are into the bully game, go no further. We got the answer, and we got to wrap up. I got to
Yeah, I gotta
teach
go.
class at 12. You got
some
all
training.
sorts of cool stuff to do.
Go
Probably
eat, train, pick up some dog shit.
one last thing. Would you let Kai fight? Would you encourage him to fight? If he does become a fighter, what would be one piece of advice that you give him? So you can give me
You know, Kai loves
Kai, your
coming to
son.
the gym. I mean, it's a struggle getting him here, but once we're in here, he does not want to leave. He wants to fight. I mean, he had a breakdown a couple weeks ago for me sparring. I spar him on the white mats. He wanted to go on the blue mats and fight. And literally, he never throws he was throwing a fit because he wanted to go on the blue mats and fight me. So finally, we go out there on the blue mats for a minute or two. We spar a little bit, and he was content to let me spar. But it was like a 30-minute breakdown. I'm like, I want the blue mats. I don't want to go on the white mats. So he loves it. And you see him in here in the gym. He loves it. He loves seeing, he sees coach, he sees you guys. And, this is his family. So I would, if he's like, I want to fight, I would definitely think that wrestling, jiu-jitsu, get him into physical activity contact just to know what it's done for me, the dedication, the sacrifice, that I've been able to come over. And I think the life lessons that it's taught me, I think it's a great tool for him.
And let's say he gets to where you are, where he becomes a world champion. What would be the advice that you give him when he gets the aside from strap up?
Yeah, definitely strap up.
No, but what would be the one piece of advice that you'd give him as like hey, I'm only going to tell you this once, but
balance with everything you do in life. Never be too high off a win, never be too low off a loss, and that can go with your life. With things that happen in your life that are great, triumphs and good things that come to you, and just like bad things that come to you. The bad and good times are not always going to be there, so it's good to find the balance and stay passionate, set goals, and obtain them.
Awesome. Thanks, Cody. You're the man, my man.
Brother.
Hey, thank you. Hey, there should be a certain age where they stop saying making your birthday public and just be like, hey, shh.
Dude, my grandpa every year on my birthday calls me and sings me happy birthday. So I gotta wait. I'm like, all right, love you. He's like, oh, you feeling older? I'm like, yeah, I do. And he sings me happy birthday every year.
That's awesome. Well, this is a good day for me, and I'm going off to Hawaii in a couple days, and you got to go beat the crap out of some people.
Let's go. I can't wait.
Can't wait. Tune in, guys.